So today, boys and girls, we are going to be talking about literary elements in our story, the Storyteller's Candle. So let's look at our anchor chart. We have here about the 4 literary elements we're going to be talking about. We are going to talk about characters, setting, plot, and events. Well, literary elements are the pieces that make up a story. The characters are the people and animals in a story. And we think about, what do they say and think? What do they do? What do other characters say and think about that? And then when we talk about the setting, what are we going to think about when we talk about setting? Well, we're going to think about where and when the story takes place. That affects the plot because certain events happen in only certain settings, boys and girls. And it affects the plot by creating its mood. The plot is the conflict, which is the problem, and then the resolution, which is how the problem is solved. We also have the events, or the things that happen in a story. And that is, boys and girls, how they change a character, how it affects its mood, and it builds the plot. Is there a problem there? You do know I'm recording, don't you? Now this is going to be on there. Okay. So now we are going to talk about our literary elements in our story. So we all have our paper. And so let's start. We're going to be looking particularly at pages 168 and 169. So let's turn to 168 and 169 in our story. Okay, I'm going to get that up for us. 168 and 169. And we're going to be looking at that part of the story. This is 168 and 169.
Introduction. During the early years of the Great Depression, 1929 to 1935, many Puerto Ricans left their little island to find work and better opportunities in the big city, Nueva York. Most lived in a section of northern Manhattan that became known as El Barrio, which means the neighborhood in Spanish. Winter was harsh for the people of El Barrio. This was when they most missed their island's tropical warmth. But during this time, something wonderful happened. A talented storyteller named Pura Belpré was hired to work as the first Puerto Rican librarian in the New York Public Library system. Through her work, her stories, and her books, Pura Belpré brought the warmth and beauty of Puerto Rico to the children of El Barrio. Lucia Gonzalez. Hildemar shivered with cold as she walked home from school with her cousin Santiago. The icy afternoon wind froze their hands and burned their faces. It was the last week of school before winter break. It was also Hildemar's first Navidad in New York. The winter surprised Hildemar. She had never felt so cold before. Only a few months earlier, Hildemar had traveled with her family from Puerto Rico to New York on a large ship called El Ponce. The journey took 5 days. Now the summer sun seemed very far from El Barrio, and so Hildemar and Santiago rushed home as fast as they could to warm their hands by the old iron stove.
Okay, so boys and girls, so let's look at our question that we have there. Oh, what did I do there? I want to make this small. Maybe I shouldn't have made it big. Now, I want to write on the board. Did I get rid of the story? So now we just read at the beginning of the story there, and I want you to be thinking about the setting. And I want you to think, how does the author reveal the setting to us? How do we know where the story is taking place? Sophia?
We know the story where the story is taking place in the big introduction where it says first it was the Great Depression, then it was Puerto Rico. Now it's New York, which the Puerto Ricans call it New York something.
Yes. So the introduction tells us. So the introduction tells us, explains it takes place during the Great Depression. So let's write that. So the introduction, is this in your way? So the introduction explains it takes place during the Great Depression. And so we also know by reading that first page, what else do we know here on the first page? What else is it telling us? Yes.
It's telling us that
About the setting.
yeah, it's telling us about how and why they left to go to the big city.
Yes, but what does it have to do with the setting? Because we're talking about the setting. What do we know about the setting of the story? Where is it taking place? Where? Yes?
In New York.
In New York City, and it also is telling us something else about maybe the time of year the story is taking place, because we're kind of making kind of a big deal about that. Eli?
1929 to 1935.
Yes, the Great Depression, and what is and something that's taking them by surprise? It's what outside? Allie?
It's really, really cold.
Yes, yes. So now we know the first story page, we'll call it the first story page. The first story page explains that the story starts on an icy afternoon in New York. Because they came from Puerto Rico where it's nice and warm, and now they are in New York where it is very cold. So they are not liking this cold weather.
They're not used to it either.
They're definitely not used to it.
I thought New York was kind of like
Okay. Now, who are the main characters of our story? Reese? Yes, the cousins Hildemar and Santiago. Cousins Hildemar Santiago. Okay, and what problem do they have? They have a problem. What's their problem? Nina?
It's cold and they can't go to the library because people don't speak Spanish there.
Yeah, it's cold, and well, on this page that, we don't know that yet, because we're kind of just on these pages, so we have to kind of pretend we haven't read the rest of the story. So what's their problem right here? It's cold, and they what? Yes?
It's cold and they're homesick.
It's cold and they're homesick. We'll say that sums it up. They are cold and homesick. Yes.
Who are the main characters? What if Pura Belpré on there?
Pardon?
Wouldn't Pura Belpré be on there?
Well, not yet, because we're just here on these 2 pages.
She's not part of the story yet.
She's not part of the story yet. Because we're just on pages 168 and 169. Okay, does everybody have that?
Yes.
Very good. Now, boys and girls, now we have to go to, it asks us to, about page 179. Oh, we have to jump ahead quite a bit. Okay, 179.
Soon word got around. They speak Spanish at the library, and there's going to be a fiesta for Three Kings Day there. Dona Sofia told Don Ramon, who told Padre Simon, who made an announcement at church. That Sunday after morning mass, the vecinos gathered together. Even Pura Belpré attended the meeting. For the first time, they said, El Dia de los Reyes will be celebrated in New York. Everyone wanted to help. I'll make the costumes, said Titi Maria. I'll make the curtains for the stage, said Mama Nenita, who worked in a sewing factory. And I'll make the stage, said Don Ramon. I was a carpenter in Puerto Rico. From that day on, the neighbors went to the library every day to help with the preparations for the big event. They were very happy to discover books and magazines for them in Espanol on the shelves. The children rehearsed the play, the dances, and the stories. Don Ramon donated boxes and crates from his bodega to make the decorations. The mothers from El Barrio met at church or the library to paint, cut, and paste. Finally, by the evening of January 5th, the library was ready for Three Kings Day. Preparations. The things that have to be done to get ready for an event are preparations.
Okay, so now let's discuss our next questions. Our next question is which character has made a big difference in the lives of Hildemar and Santiago's family and neighbors? Who has made a big difference in their lives? Mikey, do you know? The librarian. And what is the librarian's name? Who knows her name? Sophia?
Don Ramon.
Not Don Ramon. Yes?
Pura Belpré.
Yes, Pura Belpré. So let's write Pura Belpré. That is question number 4. Let's write that down. Oh, Pura. Pura Belpré.
You guys sing a song.
Number 5. Did you get that written down? No, you did not. Come on. Now, boys and girls, if you notice on the bottom of your page, there's an arrow. An arrow means you need to turn the page. There's still more questions. So now we have to decide, how did Pura Belpré influence what happens in the story? Yes, Nina.
She goes to New York and she made like puppet shows in Spanish, and she like helped with things like she helped with the library for like Spanish people.
Okay, and how did that make everyone feel, do you think? How do you think that made everyone feel? Beckett?
Included.
It made everyone feel included. That's a good word. Made everyone feel included. So she made everyone feel welcome at the library, right?
Yeah.
So very good. So she made everyone feel, I'm going to use Beckett's word, I like that, included at the library. And then she had everyone work together for the puppet show. Work together to put on the puppet show. Put on the show. Okay, so now boys and girls, because one thing that always happens is people change throughout the course of a story. And so how are the children and their neighbors' feelings different now than they were at the beginning of the story? Yes, Leah, what do you think?
In the beginning, they felt sad and like excluded because they can't. There's many things with the people who speak English, and at the end of the story, they feel happy and included, like Beckett said.
Yes.
Because they're able to do more things now that they can go to the library and do things because more people have jobs that speak Spanish.
Yes. So at the beginning, so we'll say at the beginning, they felt sad and missed Puerto Rico. At the end they were happy and excited. To be part of the celebration, we'll call it, and the community. Very nice. Very nice, boys and girls. So they changed a lot from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. Yes. Yes. So boys and girls, you should finish writing this. Now when you're done writing this, you may quietly, very quietly, put it in your home folder